Welcome to Tarantula Beast. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to describe the top 5 signs that your tarantula is in pre-molt. Let's get this show on the road. So the first and usually the most obvious sign that your tarantula is in pre-molt is its abdomen being plumper, darker, and shinier. And this is especially noticeable in New World species that kick hairs a lot. Because a tarantula that has kicked hairs a lot will have a bald patch on its abdomen that's usually a peach tan color. And when it enters pre-molt, it's going to turn a dark color. Like, it'll start off as like a bluish gray, and then once it's close to the molt, it'll be almost pitch black. And when it's almost pitch black, the molt should be any day now. So another obvious one, but I don't feel like is always the most obvious one due to some Grammostola species having a tendency to go on long fasting periods that have nothing to do with pre-molt. But it's pretty obvious if you have a spider that has a very aggressive feeding response and never refuses food. And that would be refusing food. For example, my Acanthoscurria geniculata, or Brazilian white knee, has the most aggressive feeding response out of the 6 that I own. So if it were to refuse food, then I would know for a fact that it's in pre-molt. It also does have a bald patch on its abdomen that's currently a peach color. It's had that since I had it. Since I got it July 1st, by the way. So if that patch were to darken up, then I would notice that sign as well. And when I notice other signs of pre-molt for my spiders, I typically don't attempt to offer food. Like, for example, my Brazilian blue, or Laciociano sazamai, the last time I fed it was July 7th. And about a week after that, I started noticing pre-molt signs. Like increased inactivity, increased reclusiveness, hiding in the burrow a lot more when he's usually out and about quite a lot. And, of course, staying in the same spot for like about a week before he actually molted, which he molted last Thursday. So, since he's a larger juvenile, it will probably be another 5 days from now before I feed it again. Well, him, because I know he's a boy now. So, yeah. Of course, my Mexican fireleg, I noticed pre-molt signs like 11 days after the last time I fed him. I noticed the abdomen darkening up. And 6 days after the abdomen started darkening up, he molted. He was a much smaller juvenile. You've seen him in the video where I rehoused him. So, some of you that have been watching my channel since it started already know this. So yeah, refusing food, another big one. Now another one that should be very noticeable if you have a tarantula that doesn't hide a whole lot and is often out and about, and that is increased reclusiveness and decrease in activity, or staying in basically the same spot. Of course, like I mentioned before, my Laciociano sazamai Brazilian blue, I especially noticed this with. A week or so after the last time I fed it, I noticed that it was less active. I noticed that he was hiding a lot more than he usually would. And whenever he was out and climbing the walls, he seemed to struggle to climb the walls. Which, a tarantula that's not in pre-molt does that with ease. But he seemed to have been slipping down when he was climbing the walls. And he was acting a lot more sluggish when usually he's very fast. So it was from that point that I knew that he was in pre-molt, and this period lasted 3.5 weeks before he finally molted last Thursday. So yeah, increased sluggishness and increased reclusiveness are a big sign that your spider's in pre-molt. And now another one is increased burrowing or web work. Of course, if you have a tarantula that doesn't usually burrow a whole lot and is starting to burrow more, then you'll know that your tarantula may be in pre-molt. I also noticed that with my Brazilian blue. And of course, increased webbing for heavy webbers like green bottle blues or pink toes. You'll notice those signs as well. And then last but not least, sealing up the burrow with either webbing or substrate. Depends on if it's a heavy webber or a burrower. And they do this for a couple reasons. One, they want peace and quiet, and they like a dark environment to molt in and no disturbances. And two, they also do it to trap up humidity in their burrow to increase the chances of a successful molt. Because dehydration and low humidity are the leading causes of a bad molt for tarantulas, which can be fatal. So if your tarantula's in pre-molt, just keep filling up the dish, slightly overflow it at times, and just make sure that the environment is humid enough for a successful molt. Now here's what to do when your tarantula is in pre-molt or is in the process of molting. One, do not offer food. It will refuse it. And if you see that your tarantula hasn't molted yet and it's refusing food, just remove the prey item. And I'd say remove it after 24 hours max. And if there is prey in the enclosure while the spider is molting, remove it immediately, because it can be fatal for the spider, as the feeders in the enclosure will harm it, try to eat it, and the tarantula is defenseless, so that's when it's most vulnerable. So yeah, do not allow any feeders in the enclosure when it is molting. And then number two, hydration. Hydration is absolutely key, because the leading cause of bad molts is dehydration and poor humidity. To maintain humidity, keep the water dish full and overflow it every now and then to maintain the humidity. But the most important thing is keeping the dish full at all times. And then last but not least, leave it alone. If you see the spider on its back, do not touch it. It is not dead. You don't need to worry. It is just molting. And if you see that the burrow is sealed up, do not try to dig it out. I know it's tempting, but do not dig it out. Just leave it be and let nature take its course. That's all I gotta say. And if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I'll put out more videos like this. I'll see y'all next time.